Welcome to part 3 of 3 Sixsmiths and 3 Frobishers. If you have not watched part 1 and part 2, I highly suggest you go back to watch those 2 episodes just so you're clear on exactly what we will be discussing today. So I was definitely not planning on covering the Valarie Solanas story of the attempted assassination against Andy Warhol just yet. But since Donnie decided to respond directly to what I posted in terms of my question on whether or not he is the mask of Valarie, I'm going to go ahead and just break this down so it can forever and consistently be broke. If the world is indeed a stage, he by far is the most polarizing and hysterical character I've ever seen. Sleepy Joe, and Joe doesn't even know he's alive, is a bar, okay? So shout out to Donnie. But let's go ahead and get into the numbers and look at all of the connections that we have. Now, one thing I was not planning on was including the person who attempted the assassination against Donald Trump in this particular decode. However, getting on this morning after what happened last night with that post, I'm like, okay, I might as well go ahead and factor him in. And when I say he was pretty much my smoking gun to kind of seal this entire deal, not only that, Donald, he put everything inside of that tweet, okay? So I'll start out with, as you can see here, I have broken down with the Gregorian and ancient calendar dates for Valarie Jean Solanas, as well as Keith Haring, and also Thomas Crooks. I'm going to just go and run through the similarities that I found in the numbers. And also I'm going to touch on Valarie's death dates a little bit more in detail as it relates to Back to the Future. At first glance, looking at these numbers, I see that Valarie and Keith's birth dates definitely match with the 5 and the 3. Also, Valarie's death date is 4 and 25, which is actually 4 and 7. We know that Donald is running for the 47th president of the United States of America. This also matches Thomas Crook's birth date and death date, as that is 7/13, as 13 equals 4. Both equal 1 plus 8 equals 9. Donald is running for the 47th president. As I said, his assassination attempt was on 7/13, which is 7/4. Now, all of the numbers that are in common here would be 4, 7, 3, 2, and 5. I want to point attention to the actual assassination attempt and what happened on that day. Now, they say per Google that there were 2 deaths, 7 injured, 3 from gunfire, with 4 officers from debris. Now, what are the common numbers there? You have, again, the 2, 3, which equals 5, and the 4, 7, which equals 11. We know that, again, Donald is running for the 47th president of the United States. Actually, if you put these two numbers together, which is 11 and 5, that is the day after election day. Okay, so is he signaling here saying that he definitely will win? Well, I think I know the answer to that based on a codex crack that I received last night. And I'm not entirely sure if I'm ready to release this information just yet, because I believe by doing so, we probably will melt down this country 1000%. So I am praying on that a little bit and just making sure that I have connected all of my dots. At the end of all of this, if you look at the death ages for Thomas Crooks, he died at the age of 20, which equals 2. Keith Haring died at the age of 31, which equals 4. And Valarie died at the age of 52, which equals 7. So again, this is 3 people. And all of the numbers match exactly. You have your 2 deaths, you have your 7 injured, you have your 4 officers, and you have 3 people all connected. Okay? So then if you look at Donald Trump's tweet from last night, he pretty much confirmed it for me. 250 million equals 2 plus 5 equals 7. The timestamp on the video, which I find that timestamps on videos are actually extremely key when they're speaking in this secret numerical language. So if you look at the timestamp on the key, you get the numbers 4, 3, and 7, or you can flip that around and you can get the number 23, which actually equals 5. Either way, all of the numbers are here. And I also thought it was pretty cool that he mentioned the actual word soul as I'm talking about Solana. That was actually perfect, and saying that he's not soul, which you can actually go into this entire post and probably rearrange the letters and get I am not Solana. And also, if you look at the bottom of the video, it says from the war room, which of course war is a part of my code, which equals Warhol. Now, looking at the death date of Valarie and the birth date of Keith Haring, I noticed the 88 theme. And again, this harkens right back to the last Decode, which talked about Andy Warhol's grave being on Route 88, as well as the number of minutes for the film Niagara starring Marilyn Monroe, which was 88 minutes. That also ties into 8 plus 8 equals 16, which is also one of the artworks that Andy Warhol created called 16 Jackies. So the number 88 is also significant because if you remember in the movie Back to the Future, the number 88 was the speed needed for the DeLorean to travel back to the future. Also, the numbers 4 and 9, 49 is actual 94 also, and that is the atomic number for plutonium, which is what was needed in order to power the flux capacitor. And the movie Back to the Future ties in perfectly because Donald Trump is a loosely depicted character as the character Biff. Stay tuned for part 4.